And welcome to Houston Newsmakers. I'm talking with Harris County Judge Ed Emmett. We've been talking about the dome and also the sense of making sure that people who are recovering from Harvey aren't getting cheated, if you will, by money being going to the dome. That process, how has that worked out now? We talked about the fact that Governor Abbott was in town, and we're talking about money that's now available. What is the biggest issue and the biggest priority you think now for Harris County in our hurricane recovery efforts?
Flood control, flood mitigation. We all know that is job one, but that has a lot of parts. And so when the Congress passed the bill, $89 billion.
Which is not a lot of money for what is needed.
Not when you divide it between Texas, Florida, Puerto Rico, and California. Right. It won't be enough, but we have to prioritize. And I think what we're going to see is we've got 4 projects underway that all we have to do is complete. And that's Braze, which we have to do, White Oak, Hunting, and Clear Creek. Those 4 are already out there. And then we have other things on the Greens Bayou watershed that need to be done. We have projects, we've talked about a 3rd reservoir. That needs to be started. The Addicks and Barker improvements need to be done, but those are U.S. Army Corps of Engineers projects, and money is in that bill for that. And then the FEMA money, a lot of that goes to what's called CDBG, Community Development Block Grants. And
that's for damage that's already been done to help people recover, or help the government recover?
Help the government recover. Our buildings, I mean, we've got criminal courthouse, for example. We had, and this hadn't gotten a lot of publicity, but Mayor Turner and I wrote a letter to Governor Abbott last week asking him to just go ahead and spend $200 million out of whatever fund he chooses to help us rebuild flood infrastructure that was damaged by Harvey.
Okay.
We're not even back to where we were before Harvey yet, because we had about close to $200 million worth of damage to infrastructure that was already in place. We got to get that back to normal and then start the process of going forward.
How nervous are you about that this stuff is just moving so slowly? We know these things take time, but boy, patience is a tremendous virtue in this process.
Well, from a government perspective, I'm not surprised. I mean, the delegation, Congressman Culberson, Senator Cornyn, everybody's worked hard to get it done. From a personal perspective, though, that's where I worry. You've got people who are still out of their homes, and they're wanting to know, when am I going to get some help? And if I'm not going to get help, then are you going to come buy out my property? We've got to give those people answers, and we've got to do it soon.
That's an ongoing challenge. People have heard that for a long time as well.
I know that. And you know, those of us at the local level, we don't have the resources. County government operates wholly on property tax.
And in the program before this Newsmakers Extra, you alluded to the fact that at some point taxpayers are going to be asked to help with this. What form is that likely to take, and when?
It's going to be a bond issue. We'd like to do it as soon as possible this year. I don't normally try and speak for Commissioner's Court, but I think everybody knows we've got to get this process moving. But at the same time, we're dealing with a political environment where we're saying county government wants to do something, but all we get is property tax. And at the same time, we're in a political season. We're seeing ads where people saying, elect me and I'm going to lower your property tax. Well, those are 2 diametrically opposed approaches. So what are we supposed to do? I would love if the county government had access to some of the sales tax revenue that's generated. We're an urban area. Property tax was put in place mainly for rural areas back in the day. Well, we have all this sales tax that comes into Harris County. Unincorporated Harris County, if it was its own city, would be the 5th largest city in the United States, right behind Houston, right ahead of Philadelphia.
You would need state help to get that done.
Yeah, the legislature would need to pass legislation that says, you know, just like cities get sales tax, somehow an urban county like Harris has got to get sales tax, because otherwise nobody likes the property tax, most miserable tax ever created, but that's all we have to work with.
Well, it sounds like you've got a tremendous, there's so many things, so many moving parts, but there's a tremendous sales job that's going to be coming up as well to convince people, let people know what the priorities are, and they're going to have all the knowledge to make the decision that's going to be best for everybody.
Right. Anytime you put a bond on the ballot, even if it's the greatest thing ever, you're still going to have a lot of people say, nope, I don't want any debt. But that's all we have to work with.
Judge Ed Emmett, thank you for coming in, and we'll keep tabs, and obviously you're a friend of this program. We'd love to see you back when we start talking about the, quote, third reservoir. We want to know more about that, the planning process, where that's likely to be, and all that sort of stuff.
Good. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you,
My
Judge.
pleasure.
Always good to
Thank
see
you.
you. And thank you for tuning in for this Newsmakers Extra.